This interview, taped in San Diego in October 2021, is with a former veteran who experienced homelessness for 7 years after being discharged under the Don't Ask, Don't Tell.
I mean, a military veteran who saw combat and who's a member of the LGBT community, who's mixed race, Latino and African American, who's queer. If you were to assess my risk at this time, it was not great. I joined the United States Marine Corps, served from 2005 to 2008, went to war, was discharged under the Don't Ask, Don't Tell policy. And that was sort of a dark period in my life. I was honorably discharged, but I was discharged really early. And that led to homelessness, basically. It was such a sudden change from being in the military and having everything in your life taken care of, to having nothing. And I remember having to pack all my stuff in my car, and I was like, well, I mean, in the military I was able to go into the field and stuff, so I guess I can handle a gym membership and staying in my car for a while. And I remember I remember a lot of things like that now when I think about it, was pretty horrible. I remember the sort of pain of hunger, and I remember the pain in your neck because you're not sleeping right, and the sort of shame where you have to make up things where you live in order to not be shunned, I guess. And it was a pretty dark point, and I'm a little lucky. I mean, San Diego is better in terms of weather and stuff than the East Coast or New York. And I did have a car, so there was something. I wasn't in the elements too much. But it was really horrible. This was 13 years ago, and I probably was on the borderline of being homeless for maybe half of that time, 7-8 years afterwards. And once you've experienced it, it's always in the back of your mind that, if you don't save appropriately, or if you don't plan for it, for some sort of disaster, I get into the wrong. I did have health insurance for a long time. I mean, and honestly, it does a lot of these things are sort of intersectional. So, for example, I was sick with COVID last year and hospitalized. I didn't have healthcare because I was in between jobs, and so if it wasn't for the fact that all that was paid for at some point because of legislation and the Department of Veterans Affairs, that could have easily been a trip to homelessness. And so it's always in the back of my mind. And I also realize that I have a pretty Spartan sort of, I'm not big on spending much on my apartment or anything like that. I have my bed, and I don't have things on the wall or whatever. And I suspect that's largely because I've developed spending habits that prevent me from wanting to expend resources, and in the worry that at some point I end up on the streets.